Hey, welcome back to Puzzled. This is going to be a shorter episode because the previous one was longer and I'm doing them both in the same session. So today's topic is very topical, and I mean, it's not like it's especially topical this week in specific or this month in specific, but you know, AI has been a hot button topic for quite a while and continues to be, and for many good reasons. One of my biggest fears is that my value has an expiration date. When I started my coding school, companies were still in the massive hiring phase for computer programmers, full stack developers, stuff like that, junior developers, especially in my area, Tulsa. There's a big push to invest into that industry, and there still is. I'm not really seeing that, but I know that there's a lot of money being pumped into that, which makes me glad. But I feel like my value has an expiration date that is rapidly approaching, and that causes a loop that I am not very proud of. And that loop is the fear of AI replacing my job, which then turns into me overworking myself, which then turns into me using AI to keep up and, stay productive, which then leads to guilt for using the AI that I am frustrated will eventually replace my job. And I don't know how to escape that loop, because if I don't use AI, I'm behind the curve, and if I use AI, I feel guilty. My job doesn't prohibit my use of AI, but I personally have a lot of issues with it. Morally, like the fact that it works off of stolen data. I wish I could practice what I preach. And there's a lot of feeling of discouragement going around the world regarding AI's very rapid development and the fear of it replacing jobs. And when you look at the data, it's kind of interesting. And of course, the data is constantly changing as the tech changes. Sorry I'm being so quiet right now. I'm super focused on the puzzle, and it's getting kind of late and I'm getting kind of sleepy. But I need to get ahead on these recordings. Alright, I've been quiet for too long. I need to say something. Anyway, I don't know the answer. I'm trying to build a version of diligence that isn't fueled by panic and doesn't go against my morals, which is pretty tricky because when you're in a state of panic, you don't really have the time or energy to assess the situation, and you just do whatever looks good in the moment, whatever's right in front of you. And I'm not a huge fan of going against my morals. Like, I set my morals for a reason, and there's no point in setting them if I'm gonna just turn around and go right against them. Man, I'm really not good at this right now. I'm too focused on the puzzle. The puzzle's supposed to help me work through my thoughts, but it's just puzzle thoughts right now. I am just solely thinking about the puzzle. So Pew Research did a study that found that 52% of workers in the study are worried about AI's future impact at work, and 32% of them think it will mean fewer job opportunities for them in the long term. We are definitely not seeing AI improve the trend of job layoffs. For example, the extremely massive layoff this week from Amazon. It was thousands. I don't remember how big it was, but it was insane. And like, this is COVID era style layoffs continuing, even in the booming economy with, record returns in every single one of these massive companies, these massive tech companies. They're still laying off droves of people. And part of that is because they overhired at the beginning of the tech boom, but they can also afford to keep those people having a job and maybe pivot what their job entails, but keeping them employed. It definitely doesn't help the general feeling about job security. The temperature around it, the climate, I think is the word that I was searching for there. I just saw the preview of my camera moving and it gave me this chill down my back and gave me the gave me that sudden fight or flight feeling, and that scared me, man. I'm definitely getting to that stage of sleepiness. This has kind of turned into a sitting and chilling session, which kind of makes it for a less interesting episode, especially since this is a topic I want to talk a lot about, but I don't really have structured thoughts on it at the moment. I should have prepared better for this episode, like with notes. I think one of the reasons I'm not talking much is because I want to structure my thoughts properly because of how sensitive a topic it is. And, you know, it shouldn't be a sensitive topic. People should see the bad in AI. It shouldn't be that hard to convince people of it. But that's the way it is. Through school, we were also encouraged to use AI as a learning assistant, and AI was developing alongside us at almost the exact same rate. It sped up a bit after graduation, but during school, it was at about the same level as we were when we graduated. Obviously faster, but the same knowledge set. And so having our instructors encourage us to use it not as a answer key or a thing to complete the projects for us, rather something to help teach us, I think that kind of developed it as a crutch for parsing and analyzing new things that I'm trying to learn. And I'm not happy about that. Because I don't really want it in my life. I like having human mentors. I like watching YouTube tutorials and learning stuff. One of the most fun things in computer programming is creating something from scratch. And vibe coding kind of kills that because you're not creating it. You are feeding a machine an idea and it's creating a approximation of that idea based on predictions and the most likely next step, which isn't creative at all and kind of stifles the creativity. You need to know how to go into that then afterwards and spice it up and make it more human-like and more of what you want. It can help get you past the writer's block or the creativity block, you know, get it over that hurdle. But if you do that too much, it just kind of replaces you, even in your not jobs, even in your hobbies and creative endeavors. you invite it to replace yourself in your day-to-day life and in the stuff that are in essence you. And that's just really creepy, disgusting, weird. Don't like that one bit. And yeah, I mean, I like bouncing ideas off of AI and narrowing down video ideas to help get a broad concept into something specific, and then I create that thing or work on that thing. But I don't like relying on it, and I don't like getting frantic at work and wanting to prove my resourcefulness and my efficiency and my turnover rate, and that not being a fruit of my own labor. Feels false, feeds into the imposter syndrome. Where does this piece go? Oh, that was a twofold confusion. There we go. For those of you just listening and not watching, you can watch this on Spotify and on YouTube. I release it on both at the same time. And I think at some point I'd like to live stream it while I'm recording. The raw recordings are definitely a lot longer than the episodes. For example, at this moment, I am 35 minutes into this recording, and I imagine only a few minutes into the episode. But anyways, like, what am I supposed to do? If I'm not using AI, everyone else is, and I truly am getting behind. But also, if I do use AI, then I become even more replaceable because I don't have anything that makes me individually stand out. Every human will always have the things that make them individually stand out, but what I mean is from a logistics point of view, from a workplace point of view. If a majority of my work is coming from AI and not myself, anyone else can press those buttons and do that in replacement of me. That's not a great feeling. About 50% of workers say that they're worried about how AI will be used at work, according to that Pew Research study. I'm literally using the tool I'm scared of because I'm trying to stay ahead of it, and I'm feeding into my own replacement. It's just like, what am I supposed to do with that fear? What am I supposed to do with that guilt? How do I act on it? This episode's not really gonna have a conclusion. This is open-ended questioning and discussion, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and like how you use it in the workplace, and or how you avoid using it, and just kind of how it affects where you are at in life and how you've seen it affect the people around you personally. And you know, this isn't lip service or virtue signaling or virtue signaling or like trying to be on the right side of history or anything like that just for the sake of saying that I was right. I truly don't want it in my life. I am upset that I ever let it become a part of my life, and now it's here. I just wish it didn't exist. It kind of reminds me of social media, you know? Everyone uses social media, and so anytime you're not on it, you have the fear of missing out. You know that someone you know is online at this moment, and you could be missing something funny or important, like newsworthy. You could be missing out on a trend or a viral moment that they'll be referencing, and you'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you don't worry about those things until you start becoming aware of it and you start using it. And I think that's the same thing with AI is, you know, I heard people talking about it and that they're using it, and I'm like, well, I'm a full person. I'm not a secondhand thinker. I don't need AI to do stuff for me. I don't need ChatGPT. But once I started getting into time crunches and using it to help me learn things, understand things, and like help explain those things to other people, I became kind of dependent on it in my learning cycle. Like it became one of the links in that chain link. Since it was inserted, I know it can probably be removed, but I just don't know how to do it. And I don't feel like there's anyone else in my life that is using it that wants to stop using it. All the people who are against it are pretty much not using it, don't have it in their life, haven't struggled with this. And so I don't know how to go about this because there's just the two sides, it seems. The people who do not want to use it, will never use it, hate it, and will look down on me for using it and won't help me because they look down on it. And then the people who use it and think it's a good thing and won't understand me wanting to stop using it. They might understand some of my dilemmas, but they'll be like, you know, keep those in mind, but keep using the tool. I guess I just need like a tailored advice, tailored something about how to root it out of my life and replace it with something that is actually nurturing. Okay, where is this piece? This green isn't anywhere else on the puzzle at the moment. This is going to drive me loony. I do also have some places in my life that I want to continue using it, like analyzing data, like broadly analyzing data, analyzing my YouTube stuff, my other creative stuff, and figuring out what's working, what's not working, where to go with the stuff that I'm creating. And, you know, it's helped a lot with business, creating my first business, getting that off the ground, knowing what to look out for legally and, you know, tax related stuff like that, things that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise, things that I could do with the vanilla internet but would take more time and work. And of course I'm cross-referencing stuff with actual resources, not just relying on AI to do everything because of the inconsistencies and unreliability of it. I think the takeaways I had in my imposter syndrome episode are very relevant to this topic. So I might go back and listen to that for my own sake and encourage you to do the same. It's an episode that I had a lot more preparation going into and had some actual notes and key takeaways and some pretty good advice. Not my own opinion, other people have told me that. I've been recording this one for over an hour. This is absurd. It has been a lot of silence and puzzle solving, but I hope to dear goodness that it isn't too long. I'm able to edit it down. The longer I record, the longer I need to edit. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that at all. No. Oh no. Oh no. You must be kidding me. Seriously? I never lose puzzle pieces. Well, that's fitting. This has been an interesting episode. An interesting episode indeed. Good puzzle. I like this puzzle a lot. Rather than having action items or homework to work on, I guess I have a few questions that I like to ask myself that I think would be good for reframing purposes, or at least recentering purposes. And those questions are, what job or task within your job are you afraid of becoming replaceable first? And then when you overwork, who are you trying to prove it to? Your boss, your clients, your family, yourself? And then also, what's one thing that AI can't do without you? Your taste, your context, your empathy, your decisions, your spontaneity. Like, these are things that AI is literally incapable of doing because outside of its training and purpose. Thank you for watching this episode of Puzzled, listening to this episode of Puzzled. I'm sure that there are probably some things in this episode that you resonate with. Engage in the comments and stuff like that. Sometimes I have better takeaways than others. Definitely doesn't help. It's 1:30 a.m. and I've had a long week and it's middle of the week. It's Wednesday, but I'm not gonna use that as an excuse. I'm not making excuse or complaining or whatever. I'm just saying that's how I'm feeling right now. But thank you for watching and listen. Thank you for watching and listening. And engage in the comments. Tell me if there are any topics you'd like me to cover. Listen to this on Spotify or all your podcast platforms. This is a podcast. It's not just a YouTube series. Or if you're on a podcast platform, this isn't just a podcast. It's also a YouTube series. And check out my other stuff. Puzzle MTM. Check out Gamify This, the other podcast that I'm doing where we try to gamify everything in our life. And I hope this episode has left you a little less puzzled.